So polygamy exists in the spiritual world and is part of African spirituality.
Yes. The only difference is that it was done respectfully.
Respectfully. Like
Who is married today? You survive, right? Your children and your children's children are going to suffer the tears of that woman.
you are speaking as a married woman.
Marriage, because the Son of God married seven wives, and that Son of God is called the Bull of Heaven, and his wives are called the seven cows of heaven. So polygamy exists in the spiritual world and is part of African spirituality. But because Europeans tend to just want to create things which are not even rational, they come, for instance, with the idea that a man must have one wife, but they say they are Christians. If you read the Bible, Solomon had 100 wives and concubines and things like that, which means that even when they read the Bible, they don't read the whole thing, because after all, the Bible, most of the stories in the Bible are African stories which have been colonized and distorted by them. If you look at the indigenous African churches, they read more the Old Bible, Testament, because even its writers
who must date single women? Who must date single women if polygamy is not right?
Okay, who must date single women?
Yeah, single women who are not married. Who must date them if polygamy is wrong?
All right, so basically, I'm going to answer it from the African perspective, right? I'm not saying polygamy is wrong, inclusively so, right? But from my understanding, polygamy, it was created ukulisa umuzi wa baba, right? To grow the family, right? And then to grow the family, we're talking about resources, money, right? And when we're talking about money, normally it was done by the kings, which they had money, they had many responsibilities to take care of the whole society, right? But these days, what we're seeing with polygamy, every person wants polygamy if they have little money. And then we have children here. Out of relationship of the polygamy, we have children. Children of today, they need to spend time with their father or their both parents. And then also with the history or the probabilities.
Yes. Continue.
Yeah, okay. With the probabilities, often when a man that was in polygamy dies, the whole family die. Because why? From the first place, the polygamy, it was not created to kulisa muzi, because there were other responsibilities. Because if there were other responsibilities, obviously the women that are into that polygamy, they will be working into that man's company and growing his cooperative or corporation, right? So then now, what happened these days? The men die. People start fighting. The very same women, they go back home. They suffer, they suffocate, because basically they were not effective. They were not there for the correct African reasoning around polygamy. They were there to enrich their own self. But then now the initiator of the polygamy is gone, then children won't have future.
Let me repeat the question again. Unfortunately, I can't tell you who it comes from because the identity of the person is closed here. Who must date single women if polygamy is wrong?
Who must date single women?
So those women who have not been married, who must date them?
I feel that there are still men out there which they are looking for women, and we are living in a balanced world. We cannot say that single women, they must, if they are single, they are not finding someone, there are women that they can be single. Let them remain single, because there are a lot of sicknesses. And not only that, there is also the truth that we must actually speak about. The very same brother that want to date those single women, they must use that money to open firms and companies for their own brothers, so that they're not getting arrested on crime, and the police is not full of men, because most men, they are in prison because they're unemployed. So if an African man have more money, can't he create more industries and firms to employ other African brothers? So he want other African men to get arrested because of crime, and then those other women, we have more single women because their brothers, they're in jail, then he can start his polygamy. It doesn't work like that.
Okay. No,
it doesn't. What they do basically is what they do.
Okay, this question, by the way, was it was a female who asked this question, because she needed to understand, because I'll tell you why. So, a female who dates a married man is viewed as a bad person in a community, right? I'm not saying the man is not. I'm just talking about the female in this instance. Is viewed as a bad person. So I want to know, should unmarried, because chances are married men, if they date, they will be dating single women. I'm not saying they don't. Yeah. So this is so do you have, and you answered it by saying they must not.
They must not. They must create jobs. Because they have
no,
more
we're
money.
talking about the women. The women must create jobs.
Not the women.
Yes. What must the women do?
Okay, so for the African brothers, because you know what I dislike, right? African men, you guys, you call each other Grootman.
Yes, like a Grootman.
Yeah, Grootman, because obarekela biya. They respect you more because obarekela biya. Even if we
take...
Yeah,
there are certain responsibilities as a Grootman when I lead single women, if polygamy is wrong.
No, but
you want to skip this? We can skip. I've got other questions. Who must date single women if polygamy is wrong?
No one's going to date single woman if polygamy is wrong. Polygamy, nakona, let's rather put it like this. In polygamy, it's not for everyone.
Clear as day.
Yeah, born. And abomkhulu bethu, they used to do it. Hence, dala bothola umkhulu wakho athola ukuthi hey inkamabela awise hasbeko. Usa understand why we say hasbeko, because umkhulu was chowing that hasbeko, you understand? So khona manje the way yenza, it's fashionable, ayisana sense. I cannot just wake up and say ngifuna uba namadoda ayi7 kanjani. Beyikhona ekhaya na, you see.
And I apologize, because this is a long question, because it needs you to expand further for people to understand. I just thought, let me give you a bite at this question, but I want to jump it. Do you want? Are you satisfied with it?
If I can answer that.
No. I was talking about this one.
Okay.
Polygamy and single women, because someone said there are a lot of single women in society. It will be disingenuous of us to always come down hard against polygamy, even if it's not polygamy. Who will date women who are not married? And you think about it. It's like we are going to deny it, but in reality, it happens.
It happens. It's been happening for a very long time.
For a very long time. It's part of
the only
in all cultures, by the way.
Yes. The only difference is that it was done respectfully.
Like you said.
So now, kita baya hori Umashian will be stealing Nontlantla and then Nontlantla start posting. I want social media na posting izinto ezinjalo, and Umashian will also need to respect umfazi wakhe. There's no way Umashian fana ngithatha ngisekwakhe lala nomfazi wakhe khona. Umashian needs to make indawo yami or yethu ibe comfortable. So the reason why manje people are like, hey, polygamy in fashion. Sometimes you even find people where because they didn't want to. The mamngani was showing off kankan, or I'm here and I'm not going. It's either you take me or not. So Jola, Tepu, Masai chicks has always been there. It's an Asian thing, but it was done in
respectfully. Okay, thanks. And the participants understood each other. Yeah, so I'm sorry, okay. So if a married man dates an unmarried woman, the unmarried woman knows. Is that abuse?
It is.
Okay. Is that an abuse? Okay, what do we call them? A side chick. A side chick of a married man. Is she in an abusive relationship? Just by that Mjolo. She knows he's married. She dates him. Is that an abusive relationship?
Emotionally, yes.
I wouldn't say
she went into it knowing.
Yes.
She's abused. When Oren.
Sure. From the outside, we might look at it like...
Which side?
So it's me and him. He's married, right?
Yes.
I might not feel he's abusing me because he takes care of me. He's treating me well. You guys from outside may perceive that as abuse. It might be abuse. It's quite a
I want you to understand the reason I'm asking this, because it's our culture.
Yes.
Yeah.
I spoke, you see that old man there? I spoke to him. He said, Matolo Motsaka says, even though we are a matriarchal society, polygamy is essentially our culture. And you look at the numbers, polygamy, we cannot run away from it. Because men are few, women are plenty. The reason I'm asking you is it fair for the wife?
It's not.
Is it fair for the wife?
It depends. If a wife believes in polygamy, then it's not necessarily unfair because she knows that. Okay, can I give an example of in the Zulu culture? I know it's not only them, even other cultures. Polygamy is an in thing.
All cultures.
Yeah. So, for example, I think with the Zulu culture, it's more like well known.
Open.
For a Zulu woman, for them it might not be a big deal, right? Because with them it's like a well known thing. And then, for example, let's come to the Pedi culture, right? It is there, but it's not as popular. So for me, it might be abuse. But then for somebody from a different culture, it's normal. It's okay for them.
All of this, I wanted to go to this point. Please talk to side chicks now.
Okay.
Talk to them now. Give them a message now.
Okay.
Please talk to them.
I would say to the side chicks, as much as that man is supplying for you, taking care of you emotionally, physically, and materially, that man is abusing you or is playing with you. As long as his wife doesn't know, because his dam is leading you, giving you kids, and the next thing every day he goes back home.
Are you a side chick?
No, I'm not.
No problem. Are you a side chick?
No, I'm not.
Have you been one?
I've never been.
You don't know what they feel.
I don't know what they feel.
Exactly. So they don't want to be side chicks. I believe most of them don't want to be side chicks. What other options? What do you want them to do?
They must know. Like, if somebody belongs to somebody else, why would you want another woman to feel a pain that you don't want to feel?
I understand.
Turn around.
I want you to tell Mjoli Kali, what do you want them to do now?
They must date with the men that are free, that are not married. Because married men belongs to somebody else. Unless those men, and I always say it's not about this.
Because even if a man is not married, I want you to hold it there. Even
if men in those ones.
No. You see, this is the part. Remember, I said in this podcast, particularly this one, we want to we know men do a lot of evil things and wrong things, but we want to talk about men. Women, responsibility of women. Now we are talking about them. What do you want that side chick to do? Because you are speaking to her now. What she's sitting there, she's listening to you.
Yes.
What do you want her to do?
To love herself enough, to value herself enough, to be content. If she doesn't find the one who's available, to be content with who she is.
So she must. There are women in their 30s who do not want to date young boys in the early 20s.
Yes.
Most of the men they want are already married
Okay.
or are in relationships, what do you want her to do? Because I'm coming to you, I just wanted to
Yeah,
finish.
to wait for the ones that are available,
All right,
not
sure.
to mess up.
Aska Jola.
No,
If-
no, I Jola, no all available. But aska chela motho aska break a relationship, aska break a marriage in the name ya or le nna ke batla motho, because what goes around comes around. Let me tell you something. You break somebody's marriage today, you survive, right? Your children and your children's children are going to suffer the tears of that woman.
You are speaking as a married woman.
Yes.
Are you?
Yeah, I think as much as I'm not married, but I'm here thinking, don't be a pain in another woman's marriage.
yeah.
Don't do
No,
that.
I like the balance. She's speaking as a married woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the side chicks listening to her, they're very angry where they are.
Definitely.
So I want you to speak.
I think for me, I would say don't be pain to another woman's in another woman's life. If I'm married, if I were to get married, it would be nice for me to find out that my husband is a side chick. I'm not married, but I don't. Even if I'm in a relationship, it would hurt me to find out that my boyfriend or my fiance or my husband
Don't
is a side
cheat it.
chick.
I want you to talk to a side chick now. Talk to a side chick. What do you want her to do?
Leave that guy.
She must leave and then Jola Lema.
Find somebody else who's not taken,
It's available.
who's available, who's not married, who's not engaged.
If it
or
takes
is not-
5 years,
it's
okay.
fine. So be it.
So you are saying side chicks must not date anyone until they find someone who's not in a relationship and is not dating.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Let's close it.
Somebody's coming.
Please.
All right. Thank you.
Do you know that many married men have side chicks to avoid divorcing their wives? Some married women may disagree, but the side chick is the one that holds your marriages. A lot of marriages are still standing because of side chicks. They are powerful. They hold the marriage together because everything the wife cannot do, the side chick does. They serve your husband, changing his brakes, oil, and performing tune-ups. In other words, if the wife doesn't want to give him sex and other services, the side chick is there to provide.
I find it very selfish that women who have reached menopause do not allow their husbands to have a second wife, somebody younger than you. Polygamy had a purpose, my ladies. You do not satisfy him sexually. The older the man gets, the more sex they want. And women, once we've reached menopause, sex is no longer a very big thing. It's no longer interesting as it used to be. But for your husband, in Botswana, there is a saying that says, a man in his 70s can still make a young girl of 20-something pregnant. But for you as a woman, your time comes to an end. So it is very selfish that when you don't want it, you think he doesn't want it too. Allow him to have a second wife. Polygamy is not for every man. You need to be emotionally intelligent. You need to be financially stable. This is why most men prefer to cheat, because it is cheaper to cheat than to have a second wife.
In this verse, Allah is talking to the Prophet ﷺ, and he tells him, why do you make haram what Allah has made halal for you? In search of your wife's pleasure. Like you're doing this just to please your wives. You're making something that Allah made halal, haram. Don't do that. And Allah ends the verse with Allah Ghafur Rahim. He's the most gracious, most forgiving, the most merciful. So this is actually, if you reflect on these verses, especially women, I'm talking to you out there. This is the Prophet ﷺ, and Allah telling him, don't make something haram that Allah made halal. So wives, don't put your husband in a position to do haram because you aren't accepting it. Don't make him change what Allah made halal and make it haram. Get the ego out of it. Say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Opening up your marriage and allowing your husband, if he is seeking more than one wife, allowing him to marry more than one wife and giving him your blessings will create a better relationship with your husband. You just have to get over that little hump. Always go back to the Quran, always go back to the word of Allah, and inshallah, it'll make your life a lot easier.
In the UK, it is illegal for you to get a second wife, but you can have a mistress and a girlfriend and a side chicks. Calm. Excuse me, I can't have a second wife that I'm going to honor and respect and look after and provide for her and treat her like my wife, but I can have a mistress and girlfriend. This is nonsense. Some people come and say to me and go, oh, you only became a Muslim because of the second, third, fourth wife. As a Muslim, if I get married to the first wife, I have to speak to her father, protect, provide, give her dowry, pay for everything, even if she's rich. And then if I get a second wife, I have to do the same. And now let's take me as a non-Muslim. No rules and regulations, and I can do whatever I like.
The world does polygamy. A lot of people, the Bible doesn't speak about a man and a woman and a man, or man and man, or woman and woman. It does speak clearly that Abraham, the father of the faith, he had wives and concubines. Jacob had 4 wives, out of which come the 12 tribes of Israel. Moses, the custodian of the law, had 3 wives. David, the king of Israel, had 18 between wives and concubines. Of course, we all know about Solomon. But it actually has laws written in the Torah, written in the law of Yah, that actually regulates and sanctions a man having more than 1 wife if he chooses.
You have, how many wives do you have?
I have 4.
You have 4 wives. And so you are a polygamist?
Yeah.
Define that for me.
A construct in which there's a male and several female counterparts engaged in a relationship.
How many females are allowed to be involved?
It's indefinite, but of course, I get the consent from the females.
So you say, you wake up one morning, you know what, honey, I think I want another one?
That wouldn't work.
How do you get the consent? How does that happen?
Well, there has to be a necessity for another female to be part, because we have it's economically structured. So when we want to embark upon a new endeavor that can make all of us the benefactors, that'd be the thing that would commence the operation.
Give me an example of a situation that requires number 2 wife.
Well, this is the first wife that got involved with this relationship. I've been with Aminette for 19 years. We've been together since 12, 13 years old.
That's amazing.
And so,
since you've been 12?
Yes.
Wow.
As we grow and we develop, we began to understand more about economics, and we wasn't really left with any inherited wealth. And considering that wealth really begins at $150,000 a year, and the threshold for poverty for a family of 4 is about $32,000 a year, and for an individual is about $15,000 a year, neither her and I combined would get us anywhere near the point of being able to amass real wealth. And so we use the polygynous construct as a catalyst to embark on.
Polygamy isn't a sin, even if you're coming from a Christian perspective. Polygamy isn't a sin. It's a sin not to be married. Monogamy is more of Eurocentric culture. And so when you give various groups your religion, culture creates religion. It's important when you conquer people to give them your religion, because by giving them your religion, you're also giving them your culture and the laws that come with your culture. So monogamy was more of a European norm. So we've taken that on, especially on the plantations. We looked up to slave masters, and then even being out of slavery, we wanted to assimilate into American culture or Western culture, etc. But if you actually look at that system, it's not working for white people. We got it from white people. It's their stuff. It's not even working for